What's happened here? Is my screen not working? What's going on? Okay, so I am live, but apparently my software's not working. Okay, well, that's fantastic. Sorry for the odd start, family. My recording software is not showing me that I'm recording, but or it's not showing the screen. So I can't see my screen, but apparently I am recording. So everything looks okay. So welcome back once again. I apologize for the late start and the also quite odd introduction. Get into it. Yo family, what's good? Welcome back once again to another daily live stream. This stream very last minute, and I apologize for that. We're going to go through some key updates for today's stream, going over the recent FOMC meeting from Jerome Powell, which long and short of it was very boring from what I watched through, and it's very obvious what's going to happen. Well, the early outcomes, if you will. We're going to talk about what the rest of this week has in store for us, and ultimately where we see the market going in the short term. And then also, we'll talk about some recent Kaspa updates, like some confirmation and proof, if you will, from Kaspa staying true to his word that we are going to be seeing stablecoins, USDC, coming to Kaspa, coming to Kaspa, as well as some other big updates as well, which is really cool stuff. Now, as we look at the market, a couple of things, just shout out to me straight away. Gold is still rallying, and gold is going parabolic right now. It's really kicking up a gear, which is a very key piece of evidence to us once more that investors right now are very much into the risk off environment. We talk about it every stream right now because that is the current market trend. Investors right now went from heavily risk off into a bit of a rotational phase, and that rotational phase is still kind of there, but not enough to be in risk on just yet. And with gold rallying in the way that it is, it looks like it might be shifting back to risk off again, and that is because of how this week has been panning out. Silver is currently up 3.98%, almost making a recovery back up to this peak here, currently at 116. So evidently we're still very much in the risk off. And then when we look at the risk on, look at the crypto element, we can see Bitcoin is currently up 0.09%, not moving today really, just below 90k. We did see us momentarily breach 90k before then, we're chasing back down. And then we can see the same for Ethereum, just breaching 3k right now, XRP $1.91, Solana $125, Kaspa currently valued at 0.0397, down 0.08% on the daily time frame. So market has been very stagnant today. We did see a little bit of a rally before Jerome Powell's speech, basically based on the FOMO and the hope that, not that we get rate cuts, but that Jerome Powell might give us some full clarity in regards to how the economy and how they perceive they're going to be handling business going forward. Jerome Powell's got one or two more meetings before his term officially ends. So people are hopeful that he might maybe give a nice sending off gift, if you will, which has not panned out that way. Summary of the Fed decision was no rate cuts, and actually it's been the first rate halt for rate cuts since July 2025, which we was expecting, but it's not nice to hear that either way. Jerome Powell and the Fed said inflation remains somewhat elevated, which, if you look at true inflation, is not true. But if you look at their metrics like PCE, then it is. We saw inflation coming expected at 2.8%, but it was a slight increase from 2.7 the previous month. So we are seeing inflation somewhat elevated, not at the Fed's 2% target. There were two governors that wanted a 25 basis point rate cut, but the remaining 10 didn't, hence why we didn't get rate cuts. Jerome Powell says unemployment rates have shown some signs of stabilization, which they somewhat have, so he's not wrong there. The Fed reasserts goals of achieving a 2% long-term inflation, which we're going to talk about a bit more in a moment. Uncertainty about economic outlook remains elevated because of the current geopolitical tensions right now. December may have marked Powell's final rate cut. That is the biggest call for concern right now. Now, while we're not in a macro environment, talk about every stream right now, it's geopolitical environment. That's what currently drives these markets. Macro is still important, and Jerome Powell still has a lot of weight in how the markets move. The key parts in that is the Fed reasserting its goal to achieve 2% inflation. Back in December, Jerome Powell and the Fed said they're focusing more on jobs. So now, while inflation was a little bit elevated, they wanted it lower because there was a very, very high element of stagflation and jobs were just more and more unemployment was skyrocketing. They said we've got to focus more on bringing more jobs in. So they didn't care about inflation. Now they've flipped their goal back to focusing more on inflation again, which is why people are now worried with inflation still being quite high, and there's still a overall belief within the Fed that the tariffs, truth be told, from what we have seen, tariffs have not caused inflation, albeit just a single spike in inflation, that's it. But Feds still come to the interpretation that tariffs will cause inflation. So because of that, they're like, okay, we're going to be focusing on inflation again, no more job market, yada, yada, yada. And they're a little bit concerned about how the economy is currently handling. So this is potentially a cause for concern. I wouldn't say it's the end of the world, because once more, Jerome Powell in his term, he's going to be leaving in the next, It's May he's leaving, so we've got 4 months, 3-4 months now. So it just means that for the remainder of his term, we may not see any rate cuts, which that does build on top of everything else we've got coming through very soon as well. So, for example, in some potentially reassuring news, we hope tomorrow is another big day as well, because the Senate will be voting again on the crypto market structure bill. We have been delayed time and time again. And this is a very, very key deal. If you've been part of this community for a while, you know how significantly important it is to have regulations for banks to start pushing in their trillions of capital that's sitting on the sidelines into the space. They want regulatory frameworks and clarity. So we want to see this next meeting be a positive one. It's not, if it ends up being positive, doesn't mean that we're going to see this bill implemented in the next few weeks. It's still got to go through a few more phases, but we want to see it at least progress right now, because we have seen a bit of a roadblock in this regard with Dems and Republicans and the US banks and crypto firms kind of butting heads, if you will. So tomorrow's markup will see a handful of amendments debated and voted upon by the committee, including a proposal from Senator Michael Bennet to impose ethics rules on government officials and their families when it comes to holding or engaging with crypto. And then Senate committee ranking member Amy, I'm not going to say the last name because I'm going to definitely butcher that, has also filed an amendment that would delay the bill from being implemented until the CFTC has at least 4 confirmed commissioners. Talks more about here. You've got other amendments include a ban on bailouts of crypto issuers, a new anti-fraud provision for crypto ATMs from Senator Dick Durbin, and restrictions on foreign adversary participation in the United States crypto market from Senator Tom Tuberville, and so on and so forth. The bottom line is unclear right now how many of the amendments will be taken up, though some are expecting a markup to take around 2 hours. After voting on amendments, committee members will then vote on whether to advance the bill out of the committee and send it to the Senate floor, which right now the Dems are still withholding support for this bill. So this is important, and we then lead into, of course, Coinbase CEO is still not very happy about the stablecoin yield for big banks. And then we lead on to the post that I made recently, which will probably come back full circle in a moment. But this post here just basically says, might be controversial to say this, and it is controversial to say this, but I hope we do get a US government shutdown this weekend. Right now, as we know, there's still this freeze between Dems and Republicans in regards to the bill for funding DHS, which gives funding to ICE and the border control. Because of this freeze, if it's not finalized or determined, or whatever the terminology actually is, by Friday or by Saturday, so in the next few days, by the end of this week, the government goes into another lockdown, another shutdown. The last time that happened was October, which we witnessed the largest crypto liquidation event in history. Bitcoin went from $126,000, spiraling all the way down back to where it's currently at, bottomed out at around 80k, currently around at 89k, finding some form of stabilization around the zone here. But with another government shutdown, that uncertainty, that fear, that FUD rises, and you'll see safe havens, your gold, your silver start to rally once more up again in value. So to make a small recap of the current fundamental and stance of this economy, and therefore what I believe, it's not financial advice, but what I believe we should be expecting in the immediate short term. Jerome Powell basically said nothing. He said, we're focusing more on inflation again, pretty much. We may not have to expect any rate cuts coming soon, but bottom line is if the job reports come out in the next few months, which given we're going to see a government shutdown, if we do get the reports, they could come back very, very bad. If they come back as unemployment started to skyrocket again and inflation's still not moving much, they'll have to cut rates. Otherwise, if it's the latter, the Fed won't be cutting rates probably until the new Fed chair comes in, which you have been hearing some words, which I see beepers here about it, about BlackRock, very own Rick Ryder could be the next Fed chair. We've heard Hassan, we've heard Rick Ryder. So we don't know who the next Fed chair is going to be right now. That will be determined in due time, of course. But the next Fed chair, one thing that we should expect is it will be basically, in my perception, a shadow Fed chair. And what I mean by that is this new Fed chair will basically just align with what Trump wants. Trump wants low interest rates, 1% inflation, or 1% interest rates even, and QE money printing. That's what he wants to pump the markets up so he can also win his midterms. So whoever this new Fed chair is will likely just do as Trump commands and then start pushing these markets, this risk-on environment up a lot higher, which will be good for a short-term pump. We'll have long-term implications, I'm sure, but short-term pump will be good for us. We've got to make sure we're locked in when that happens. So not sure what to expect for the Fed for the remainder of his term, but nothing really come off that right now, which is unfortunate. Hence why the markets are very, very lackluster right now, not really moving. Tomorrow will be a very interesting day with a lot of amendments and decisions being made for the market structure bill, which will be a key catalyst for crypto as well. Hopefully it goes to the Senate. If not, if you're the government shutdown, it's unlikely this will be progressed for a long, long time, which could cause further delays or an impact on how high the market could go this year. Of course, we'll talk about it more when the decision actually comes through. And then, as I mentioned here, controversial to say this, but if we get a government shutdown this weekend, we should expect, at least in my personal belief, given what we've seen already just a few months back, markets will undergo extreme FUD again. Investors will panic sell as they do. Risk off will skyrocket again, which is understandable. But for me, in my personal beliefs, it's not financial advice, of course, I will just see this as a better entry level into the market. Because one of my premium insights into digital documents, I of course have hundreds in my VIP community. This is a recent one here. You can see the date here, January 2026, from PwC, a key partner to DII Energy. Their regulation report here, they clarify a number of key factors, talking about the timeline for crypto regulations, in particular Europe's MiCA, which the end of transition period is 2026 June. That's key. Also talk about here about firms must take proactive steps to comply with the new standards within the specific transitional period to avoid regulatory sanctions and ensure continued operations in a single market for digital assets. Long and short of it is, institutional leaders like PwC have confirmed that 2026, this year, it still marks the shift to active supervision. You need to be compliant with regulations. You need to be working alongside one another. You need to be compliant with what's happening right now. Regulators are no longer just waiting and watching. This year, in the next few months, will be the year that they start enforcing strict reserve requirements, which will allow them to inject they'll have the confidence, the frameworks, the guidelines to inject their trillions of dollars of capital into the market. So, in my personal belief, not financial advice, of course, I perceive that we could see some more headwinds in the short term. Bitcoin's made a nice little push up to around 90k. We'll see what the market structure bill adds to the market sentiment. If we don't get any resolution in this butting of heads between Dems and Republicans, we should expect a government shutdown, which could cause Bitcoin to come back down again to the support band, potentially coming back below to the bottom level support band here of 83k, give or take. And then if we see it come back down further, we'll have to wait and see. For me, the next levels that are key for me is this wick down here around the 80k and equally 74, 75k as well. I'll draw more charts out as time goes on and analyze that as time goes on as well. And of course, what that means for other assets, of course, we're going to mainly cover Kaspa because that is our biggest conviction in this community. As we look at Kaspa right now, we're currently holding just in and around 4 cents. We've been doing that for the past few days. We could very well see Kaspa act and hold a little bit of strength in this period, but I'm currently under the impression we might see Kaspa correct down to this bottom here. Hopefully form double bottom here. That would be the best case scenario. So we just come back down about, what, 7%, 8, 9%, 10%. And then we find the support around here. If not, this support zone for me, I think is quite, this is my like support zone where I will probably start aping in a lot more into Kaspa around this period of time. Because this period of time in Kaspa, you're looking at us being around 82 to 86% down in value. And we've seen other assets in the past, be it your Solanas, your Ethereums, your Bitcoins, all your big assets who have corrected similarly 90% plus and then got an absolute tear and rip to the upside when the market sentiment shifts. And Kaspa's got so many big developments coming through that I perceive that it could be possible that Kaspa does very well when the market sentiment shifts to being risk on again. And we've heard a bit about that in yesterday's blockchain banter with Wolfie and of course Seb as well, talking about the big stuff they got coming in and what they perceive happening to the market. And Wolfie in particular was talking about those tier 1 listings again and his speculation that we could end up seeing something when the market shifts, which I'll make a video on tomorrow hopefully as well, so we can actually recap that very, very simply as well. But I think we could see a small pullback in Kaspa. I actually have, and it's not financial advice again, but I actually do have a current short position on Kaspa, courtesy of the trader in our community, Lambo, who perceives that there could be a short opportunity for Kaspa right now. So I'm going to see if it plays out or not. We'll see, of course, if that fills in or not. But yeah, we'll see where that goes from here. I will get into the recent Kaspa news and any further questions and just more general market sentiment in a short moment. Before we do, let me welcome back everyone once more to the channel and to the stream. Dimitar, brother, welcome back once again. Great to have you back again, my brother. Let's go indeed. Kryptoni, welcome back, my man. I keep missing the dang banter for some reason. I don't know what to tell you, brother. I don't know what to tell you. It happens every Tuesday, 9 p.m. UK time. It's a shame you weren't there. Would have loved you to be there and give your insights and ask some. I know you are an intellectual individual, so I'm sure you could ask some very thought-provoking questions to our guests. But as always, next week, you know, we had Kaspa Dor and Ashton first week, then Rory and Envy, and then we had Wolfie and Seb. I don't know who we're going to get this week, but I'm sure they'll be equally very, very big as well. Well, nice, that's enough as well. Welcome back, PG. More like dead air. Not sure what that's referring to. I have definitely spent a lot of time talking, so I probably have missed that, and I apologize for that. But I think I think we'll be okay. I want to know why I can't, like, just for reference, this is what my thing looks like. You know, normally you'd have the screen pop up there so I could see. That way I could see if the questions are popping up on the screen or not, and I can't see that. And I want to reload it, but reloading it was shut down the stream, so it's terrible. I'm sure I'm in full cam right now. I just have to go in blind and hope it fixes us next time round. I apologize. It's going to make things a little difficult for me. Lusano signal is also huge. Yes, I believe you're referring to this one here. Yeah, Lusanio, or Lusanio, I apologize, I probably butchered the name here, but this is Lucky. I've spoken about this individual account months and months back. Lucky is a Bitcoin OG since 2015. Someone has almost, I think at one point over 2 million. He's got 1.9 million followers. He's a huge account, Bitcoin maximalist, and he's been also talking about Kaspa quite a bit recently for the last year or so, every now and then. And he's, in his personal belief we're going to see a big market rotation coming through to Kaspa quite soon. He's drawn out a demand of the Kaspa to be seemingly in and around, looks like 3 cents down to about 1 cent, give or take, which I would argue is very fair. And then, of course, once you break out of this trend, you go to a breakout, you see us go up. I think it's not unreasonable to believe that. My chart is I mean, it doesn't go down, you know, into the 1 cent range. Always a possibility given how far this pullback comes. I have to wait and see how the markets really behave going forward. But right now, I'm in a little bit more conservative, believing that we won't come back as far. So I've got it between 3.6 to 2.75 cents right now, or 0.0359 to 0.02743. For his opinion don't help. If you're referring to Jerome Powell, then yes, his opinion doesn't help at all right now because it's done nothing to the markets, and especially because we are also very much in a geopolitical environment to where, you know, if Trump was announced another tariff or a trade war or you know, whatever it may be, basically Trump right now has a lot more impact on the market sentiment than I believe Jerome Powell does. If Jerome Powell decides to cut rates and give some form of sentiment, that might have been a bit of a relief, but his impact on the market right now is a lot lesser as of recent. Welcome back, Falco Pro. You're doing very, very well, my man. Who knows is nice news anyways. Yeah, I mean, it's good to have the clarity nonetheless about what's happening. Pullbacks, which I expect, of course, it's the reassuring thing to hear, but I'm not too worried about it in the long term, truth be told. Great day, my wealthy Caspian. Welcome back in digits. Hope you're doing very, very well. Good to have you back again. I'm here to fight you over that X. It's all good. I'll go band for band. I'm kidding. Great to have you back, my man. Hello, Beeves, as well. Welcome back, bro. And good evening to you too, Brett, as well, and you too, Greg. Beeb said Microsoft brought up the hash rate concerns. Someone brought up that the hash rate is the same as when it was at 18 cents. I have not seen that post, I'll be honest. I have literally been out all day at work, and I just got back in 10 minutes just out the stream and just thought I'd chat to you all. We have also addressed the hash rate concerns in our own spaces. In fact, we spoke about that yesterday with Wolfie and Seb. And the concern is valid, of course, but there are differences you've got to realize. For one, when we were at 18 cents, there was a lot more blocks available because we've had back when we were at 18 cents, back here there was more blocks available because we get every month you get a small chip away and it's halving every year. So there'd be more blocks available. So of course there'd be more rewards happening at that time. So while the hash rate is the same right now with the 18 cents, that's understandable because there were more rewards at the time, so there's more incentive to keep the miners on. The hash rate for me is just very reflective and indicative of the price of the proof of work coin. Kaspa proof of work, the price has come down significantly right now because it's come down so much, and it's not sustainable right now for the most part to have your miners online, and you can't make gains through it. People are not turning them on; they're turning them off. When the price returns, the hash rate will start going up with it because people turn the miners on again. That's just kind of how it works. I'm not saying it's not a cause for concern at all, because it's a valid concern completely. But it's just, for me, I almost perceive hash rate as something very similar to the price. And the point you raised, Beeps, is a valid one. But just to reiterate again, at 18 cents, which you could be referring to back here or even back here, I don't know which instance you're referring to, but either or, the amount of Kaspa available to mine here or even here was significantly more than, here. So I'd imagine you're probably referring to here where the hash rate was similar. I'd imagine you're referring to there. Yeah, but there's a lot more blocks available, so of course it would have been. Now it's a lot less, so it means that's a lot harder to, get rewards through it. But well, hopefully that change with some other massive developments coming through regarding layer 2 adoption. Casplex now releasing stablecoins soon enough. IGRA got some mainnet stuff coming out soon as well, which is really, really cool as well, which is fantastic. So to get into that right now, this first post here, Bunny put out said that we need native stablecoins on Kaspa ASAP. Even with only 1% of the entire stablecoin volume, we can get $300 billion transaction volume, which is very, very big. We can see that here. Stablecoins, 33 trillion, so 1% is 330 billion, 300 billion, which is significant, of course. OKS are talking about how critical stablecoins are for the future of finance, and they are. And Kaspador posted SCB stablecoin bridge right here. Curve, Casplex, exciting stuff. And we're going to replay this clip from 2 to 3 weeks ago with myself, Jer, aka CryptoPumps, Kaspador, and Ashton talking about Q1 2026. We'll see stablecoins coming to IGRA and Casplex through, stablecoins coming to Kaspa through IGRA Labs and Casplex. And I mean, it looks like Kaspador's work works beautiful here. We can see USDC right down here. So it looks like stablecoins USDC is coming to Casplex, therefore coming to Kaspa imminent, very, very soon. Definitely this first quarter, which is huge stuff. So let's have a quick recap of this video here with Kaspador. Listen very closely.
We had a lot of meetings with the stablecoin issuers. This is work in progress. This is I see daily updates from our colleagues testing and doing different stuff. Again, I'm not going to be very specific about this, but I would say yes, Q1 2026 should definitely have stables on Kaspa.
Oh my God!
Via Casplex, and again, I cannot say if it's going to be native or bridged because I don't want to break any NDA, right? So Jay, yeah, This is work in progress, and this is going to be released in terms of updates to everyone as soon as we can and are allowed to. And of course, once this is being signed off and agreed, you'll see marketing campaigns, you'll see promotion from both sides, the normal stuff when a new partnership is being agreed and signed and approved by both parties.
We talked a little bit about stablecoins, and I was in a meeting today where we're bringing together 4 or 5 different projects to help support bridging any tokens, really, but stables included onto Egra, so that hopefully we can see those live at mainnet launch in just a few weeks.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Oh.
Okay, I'll be honest, I did not realize that CryptoPumped and Jura had put these very funny but inappropriate memes in the content. I'm not going to show South Park because that will definitely get me demonetized. Shout out to Jura for making that little clip there, just highlighting the key parts. I think I made a video on that actually already on my channel. In fact, I know I did. Yes, here. About 12 days ago, I spoke about stablecoins officially coming to Kaspa in Q1, and we've just seen now Capital showcasing proof now that stablecoin bridge is seemingly up and running. It works beautifully, and therefore we should be seeing stablecoins like USDC very, very shortly in this first quarter. So we got in the next 2 months or so, if not sooner, we'll be seeing that. And then, of course, Ashton also confirmed to be seeing stablecoins on Igra when mainnet launch happens, which we haven't got a confirmed date on that just yet, but that's still exciting stuff nonetheless. So this is fantastic stuff all in all. And this is going to be a huge catalyst for Kaspa. Not price, especially if in a risk-off environment. Don't get it twisted. These are building blocks. As Wolfie mentioned yesterday, the way Kaspa's currently building, it's like Kaspa is a tree or just a sapling where right now the roots are expanding more and more and more, and everything you see built, VProgs, Igra Labs, Casplex, stablecoins, Covenants plus, these just expand the roots more and more and more. So when the tree does eventually grow, when people start actually pumping money into the market again, it's got a stronger foundation to where it can grow taller and stronger than before. That's effectively what's happening right now. I don't necessarily believe that stablecoins, while fantastic, will cause a god candle for Kaspa. We're not in that situation anymore. We've got to start thinking realistically. We're doing it for a while, hopefully now, but stablecoins won't cause this. At least not immediately. It will be a more so gradual thing. When the market sentiment comes back, you'll start seeing Kaspa have a higher chance to get some form of pump. You'll see more adoption coming on board, and also with stablecoins on board, it will probably also help subsidize the miners and give more fees back. Especially because, as Igra, Pavel, Ashton confirmed, with the A-testers, those who are mining on the layer 1 to receive Kaspa from blocks, A-testers who are mining on the layer 2 for Igra, you're therefore mining Kaspa blocks and also help uphold the security and the nature of Igra's layer 2 as well, and receive Igra rewards as well. So you could also participate in that. If you haven't reached out to them, you probably can still. I'm sure Ashton will help in any way, shape, or form. But this is really, really cool stuff to see. And stablecoins coming on board is going to be a huge, huge feat for Kaspa. So that's to be exciting. And that's why I go back to this post again. While it's controversial that we could get a government shutdown in the next few days, and we don't want to see that, and will likely cause more FUD, more pullbacks, more selling, more panic, yada yada, the same story. For me, it creates a better entry level because you've got institutional leaders, PwC. I posted more in my VIP earlier as well, which you're welcome to go check out. If you check out the VIP community, links are down below in the description. And you can see documentation from CSI, which CSI is a major financial institution, an organization that's got 60 years of reputation for helping financial firms. I've got a big deep dive document from Coinbase, PwC, Ray Dalio, WEF, Lloyds Bank, Dow Jones, and that's just in the last week. Actually, the last 3 days. And they've got so many more posting continuously in there, providing more insight to those who are part of the VIP. You want to find out more, be better prepared for the market and how the markets are going to move. Check out the VIP, get ahead of the game. Find documentation like this to where we can understand pullbacks in the short term are definitely, or highly likely, I should say, not financial funds, highly likely to come through. We're anticipating them. But the mid to longer term, 2026, from kind of Q3-ish onwards from the looks of things, you'll see regulations more so enforced, and therefore institutions will be more inclined to start pushing capital into the markets and sending it higher. Especially to reiterate, around May, June time, with new Fed chair coming in, likely aligning with Trump, pumping money into the economy, sending the stock market, sending the risk on markets a lot higher because he wants to win the midterms. It's going to be all about Trump winning the midterms. All they want to do, that's what Wolfie said yesterday as well. All these politics, of course, anyone who's in, they want to win the midterms, that's their whole focus. What Trump's going to have to do to win the midterms is to send these markets sky high. A new Fed chair who will print money and lower interest rates will help that happen. Followed by a massive crash afterwards, most likely. And also devalue the dollar more so as well, 100%. But the short term will be fantastic, and that's what we need to capitalize on when the time comes. Of course, do your own research, not financial advice. Art0 says, bro, now you're shorting Kaspa at 4 cents. I've been trading many assets. I have never traded Kaspa because I just didn't. I'll be honest, I just didn't trade Kaspa. I've traded many assets. I've made many gains on many assets. That there are many P&Ls, either that I have done or even that the traders in my community have done, who's part of the Discord server and in part of the VIP P&Ls in there as well. The trader Lambo put in a Kaspa one, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll get into Kaspa right now because I think a short is very possible from here. We'll see if it fills in or not right now. Of course, time will tell. But I mean, yeah, if you short at 10 cents and you had a long short, then great, fantastic stuff. I just hope that you would have put a stop loss at least, just in case so you don't get liquidated. Although I'm sure, you know, given the circumstances, you probably would never had a chance of getting liquidated because we've been below 10 cents since August. It's been a long haul, been a long road. But yeah, I mean, we're still early. I completely agree, Artzil. We're very, very early. And this is just a way for me to kind of make gains on the negative price action and then flip that to then buy more Kaspa. Like that's what's going to happen. I'm going to short. Whatever I'm shorting the market right now, the trades I'm doing with the VIPs, I'm going to short the market for my personal belief of what's going to happen and then buy the dips. But of course, do your own research and come find more on the VIP. You can get 7-day free trial or 1 month free trial for BYDFI. Get access to many other benefits in there as well. I'm going to change the website layout. Ooh. There's the ratings, of course, we've got in there as well. Those who've been a part of the community who have been part of there for a while. But there are many benefits you get in there as well, so go check it out. Links are down below. When stablecoins TP asked, yeah, I'm just come full circle back to that question again, as we just covered. Looks like a strong possibility we'll see that in Q1. Kaspa Door has seemingly given some inkling that is coming very, very soon for Kasplex, and Ashton confirmed a few weeks back as well that we should be seeing it on the mainland launch for IGRA, which should also be coming in Q1 as well. So that's fantastic news. Can't wait to see more. That will really, really help Kaspa's adoption as well going forward. Welcome back, Wyatt. Just came over from the 2-Bit live show. He used to be into Kaspa years ago. Now they're just banging on about XRP and privacy coins, etc., getting traction in banks and institutions. Can Kaspa still compete? Great question. And this does correlate a little bit into some other stuff I was going to get into in a short moment as well. My answer is yes. It does heavily seem to bank on the KII, which, whether you trust them or not, is up to you. Me personally, I trust what the KII are trying to build. The mission they have got on right now, I think the KII is going to be a big, big institutional arm for Kaspa. The idea about XRP, I understand people talk about XRP. I have contemplated making XRP vids. Don't buy my head off, Tony and everyone else. I've contemplated making XRP vids because I think it's worth giving some insight on what they're talking about. But from the insight that I have, it's a lot of buzzwords, and you know, XRP kind of paying off or paying these banks to use their token, and therefore they're saying we've got a partnership. When in actuality, they're just given XRP to these institutions to use it, which is a partnership. It's not. And privacy tokens, yeah, right now, privacy is a very, very big issue, given the current climate of the world right now, which is why you saw Zebek rally like it did, Monero rally like it did. Like, these are privacy assets. That's the current trend. Privacy assets have their own regulatory conditions and issues. So you've got to be careful of those as well. To get full circle to your question, can Kaspa still compete? My belief is yes. We're very early in that regard, but the KRI have announced a number of projects. They have 20 plus in the pipeline from what we have heard in the past, and they have publicly announced a number of them: Olive Chain, Gigawatt, ZTX, and then 3 in particular that I've got actually more information about them. Warp Core, which is basically what XRP is for cross-border payments. That's what Warp Core is with Kaspa. And Warp Core is significant because it gives banks their own self-sovereignty. So banks don't have to completely refigure their back end of their technology or their code or whatever. They have their own infrastructure, their own policies, their own regulations. They just literally plug into Warp Core and use Kaspa 10 BPS. So they can utilize Kaspa's infrastructure, its finality, its speed, its 10 BPS, while remaining self-sovereign so they can stay compliant with local law. So what that means, if you are, what can I say? What bank? Santander. Santander, you've got a branch in Hong Kong. It's a Hong Kong founded bank. You've got also branches in the UK and maybe in America. I don't actually know about America, truth be told. But Santander, for example, bank branches in UK and in Hong Kong. The policies for how Santander operates in the UK will differ to Hong Kong. With Warp Core, Santander, from either Hong Kong's branch or UK branch, can just plug in and use it seamlessly, and they can stay compliant with their own regions. That is significant and not been done in crypto properly. And Rory confirmed, which I made videos on as well, which I highly recommend rewatching them. If you watch them, rewatch them. If you haven't, video here. This one's very, very big about it. Roy gives a lot of insight. Or you can just literally listen to the whole the live that took place with Rory O'Neill here. And you hear him talk about how when it came to onboarding banks to Warp Core, it's actually a lot easier than any of the other applications. XRP, XLM, Cardano is a lot easier than them. So Warp Core I think is going to be huge, and that's why Kaspa can still compete. Then you've got GeoSil. That was announced very recently as well, which is also significant. I'm going to go and find it again. GeoSil. There's GeoSil here. Yeah, GeoSil, which is a proof of place and proof of existence. Why is that big? Well, it gives, it's GeoSil provides cryptographic proof of place and proof of existence for people, assets, and key events anchored immutable to Kaspa. Why is that significant? I made a post on that. Of course I did. Here. This is something I spoke about. I made a video on this as well. It might have been the last video I made, actually. Was it? Yeah, this last video I made gave a complete rundown of it. There was a documentation here that came from Dow Jones. If you don't know who Dow Jones are, look them up. But for me, Dow Jones is the pure definition of the ultimate survival guide. If the markets are currently in a period of uncertainty, which they are right now, the markets are terrible, no one knows what's going to happen. Dow Jones was founded back in 1896, I believe, in the 1890s. So, talking over 100 years, which means Dow Jones survived the Great Depression, World War I and World War II, and the 2008 financial crisis, not to mention every other black swan event that's occurred in between. It's the dot-com bubble as well. Dow Jones survived it all. And Dow Jones mentioned in this article that I posted to my VIPs, winning companies will be able to pass the stress test for sustainability, regulatory compliance, and financial strength. I think Kaspa is that, especially with Warp Core, regulatory compliance being the big element there as well, and sustainability. But also this part here as well. Talk about it's like the AI hype of 2023 or the crypto 2021 speculation phase, the hype and FOMO and blah, 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 that won't repeat in 2026. This is not going to be a FOMO cycle. Markets now demand accountability. It demands proof, evidence, and demonstrations that crypto serves real economic needs. So what do you understand from that? From the ultimate survival guide institution in Dow Jones, which, just for reference, DJIA is the list of the top 30 blue chips in America, which includes Disney, it includes Microsoft, Apple. They are the big boy, and they're telling us that what markets now demand is proof. And then you've just seen this about GeoSil, which is a proof of place. Exactly what they want. Proof of place. KRI's GeoSil provides cryptographic proof of place and proof of existence for people, assets, and key events anchored immediately to Kaspa. And then KRI's Warp Core allows banks to use Kaspa 10 BPS speed while staying 100% compliant to local laws. For me, what KRI are focusing on is exactly what the leading institutional firms and banks or whatever. Baker McKinsey spoke about regulatory hurdles need to be bridged and data centers. What are DRI Desert Energy doing in the Middle East without our data centers and Kaspa? Like, this is all the information that I have in my VIP community. And I post some of them publicly because it's exciting stuff. We want to hear about it, but I have so much more insight in the VIP. When we look through documentation, what the institution is saying, we correlate that to assets that we've already got on our playbook, what we're looking into, and of course Kaspa as well. Dow Jones, Baker McKinsey, BNY Mellon, all these huge leading institutions are all saying the same things. We need interoperability, we need proof, accountability, we need regulatory hurdles to be superseded, to be passed. And that 2020 is going to be an inflection point. Everything they talk about for me correlates to what Kaspa's building, or what KRI building on Kaspa and Kaspa architecture is able to stand the test of time for that because of what's going on. Dow Jones also just lead the winning formula, which says companies and assets with the flashiest marketing, the highest price will lose. Companies and assets that have infrastructure capable of surviving the financial crisis will be the ones that win. Kaspa for me is in the latter bracket. So that is my answer to that question. I understand privacy tokens and XRP being the talk of the town. It will continue to be, but because also speculative, but probably also likely they're being paid. KOLs are being paid to talk about these assets. But Kaspa for me can still compete, and that will eventually come to light. I would like to believe, but of course, if you don't believe so, please by all means debate me as to why. I'm more than happy to talk about it. Welcome back, Go Super. You did very, very well. Did you have a look at the Champions League games? 18 in a row. Thankfully, I was busy, so I couldn't actually go live during that time. So for better or for worse, there are so many games going on. I have to look through all the results later on. Good evening, Greza. Are you doing very well, man? Beebs, I hope they pass the clarity up before midterms, because if they don't pass the bill before and the Dems get in the house, it'll be a living hell trying to get it passed. Yes, completely agree. And not to put a dampener on the mood, but chance of it passing right now is slim, because we've got to hope it passes tomorrow to then go to the Senate. That's a big ask, given what the current headwind, there's a current busting ahead between the Dems and the House. The crypto firms and the US banks is a big, if we go back to it again, it's unclear how many amendments are happening, yada, yada, yada. Democrats are still publicly withholding support for the bill. So they don't want to pass it right now. If they don't pass this bill before the midterms, which they start in around March, you can maybe give a little leeway into April potentially, but if they don't pass the bill for midterms, at that point, all congressmen, Dems, Republicans, all of them start focusing on the midterms. They completely push it aside. Which therefore means, as you highlight, there will be no more further developments likely on this bill until after midterm, after November. And if the House win, which in my belief, if Trump does not send his market sky high, he won't win. Therefore the Dems will win the House. If that happens, then the Dems won't. I don't think they won't pass the bill. And that's not what you said. You said it'd be a living hell to pass it. I agree with that. It'll be a living hell to pass it. But one thing we have seen, and as my information reiterates time and time and time again, no matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, I think everybody can clearly see the significance that crypto is to financial infrastructure. Everyone can see it. Everyone knows that you can't stop crypto. So I've seen some people say that Dems will stop it for 2029 until Trump's term's over. And I'm like, that would just ruin America's chance. That would ruin crypto for America completely ruin it, and that would cause them to fall massively far behind. 2029, you'll easily see in Europe get ahead, UK catching back up, Japan, China might even take over, and they're still anti-crypto for the most part. So I don't think Dems would stop it, but it would be definitely living hell, and they probably would also, it'd be less innovative and more rigid, more like MiCA. I think the Dems would make a bill more like MiCA, which they say for more protection. I think it's a bit more rigid. I don't think MiCA's regulatory clarities. I think you're seeing a lot of crypto native institutions, I think, kind of struggle in Europe because of how rigid their regulations are, which is not ideal. And I think the UK are following a similar step. And I get it. It's going to be tough. So I do hope they pass it beforehand, but I think it's quite slim right now. You've got a month and a bit now, and right now it's still seemingly unclear of how long it's going to take. So, and if we get a government shutdown, which may happen Friday, Saturday, I know during October there was some form of meetups for this back in October, but nothing really happened. If there's a shutdown, it won't happen. Dems won't care. Dems won't care because Dems very much associate crypto with it being a Trump scheme. That's how Dems. That's why for me, from what I have read, what I've seen, Democrats perceive crypto massively as a Trump scheme due to, and I've probably not help from Trump coin and Melania coin and all this rubbish and stuff like that, World Liberty. I don't perceive it as that, personally. I don't. But that's what I've read up from what I've seen. Dems perceive it as another Trump scheme, so they don't want to pass it. So, you know, we'll have to see how it goes, unfortunately. It's for me, it'll just delay what's to come. That's my belief. And of course, if sentiment shifts and sentiment changes, right now I'm still on the belief that we're in an extended cycle. That's my current belief based on all the institutional sentiment I've looked through. If that sentiment changes, the moment it does, of course, I'll post it to my VIP community, and I, of course, will let you know as well. But right now, my institutional documentation and the evidence I have proves 4-year cycle extension is still very much on. Crypto being risk on, correlating with AI and all that sort of stuff is going to go parabolic this year at some point. Probably in and around the midterm, latter half of it, when liquidity starts coming back into the economy again. And then we have a party. It's the hope. The hope. But yes, so this is some exciting stuff. Stablecoins come to Kaspa will be a very big building block to help that momentum pump up when the time comes, and more maybe also give a vote of confidence for these key regulators or institutional integrators are like Copper and Fire. Is it Fire Blocks? I keep saying, is it Fireside or Fire Blocks? I keep getting the name wrong. I think it's Fireside. If I butchered that, I apologize, but in fact, I can quickly find out what the name was. Just go through one of my messages, and I know I sent it there. Fireblocks, it's Fireblocks, okay. I think Fireside is someone's crypto channel, that's why I keep thinking it, but no, it's Fireblocks. I think, yeah, I know we heard from Wolfie yesterday that he's going to reach back out to Copper and Fireblocks, hoping to probably get some form of negotiations going again, because he said that he's hoping that you might see better talks this time round, given that Kaspa has grown more. Stablecoin's coming on board very, very soon. Kaspa's very, very cheap, so giving the necessary amount of capital needed for these firms would not be hard anymore. And of course, if we do get Fireblocks and we do get Copper, that would open up the door to more exchange listings. That's been confirmed multiple times from Roy and from Capital, and Roy and from Wolfie, that some exchanges don't accept a listing without those entities supporting the project. So we could see that. So that would be great to see Fireblocks and Copper, and that could hopefully correlate to more listings as well. Stablecoins would be a big part for that as well. IG's mainnet launch would be huge. KRI releasing more significant projects will be huge, which are critical key building blocks, which was a post that I had at one point. Don't know where it's gone now. Did I not? Yeah, here you go. Yeah, this is so yeah. We spoke about went completely off tangent. Spoke already about stablecoins, Warp Core. Damn, I'm tired. I spoke about Warp Core already. We spoke about GeoSil, and we also got this new one, Agent Flow, which Agent Flow seems to be a very, very important Lego brick. Very, very important indeed, which apparently will go be available live with testnet 12 when it goes mainnet, turbocharged with VProgs when it happens, huge. So it's already aligned with what's going to come out of Kaspa very, very soon. And Agent Flow is like a, from what we can see here, another form of like market maker tool for frameworks. The whole rundown on it is here as well. Basically, Agent Flow for Kaspa lets us do market making in a way linear chains can't touch, which means Agent Flow means that the way they do market, way KRI will do market making for Kaspa is something that Binance can't get involved in, Coinbase can't touch, OKX can't touch, which sounds like that's not good, right? Why why is KRI not letting the biggest crypto exchanges touch, and give inflows into this Kaspa thing? This is going to be an institutional thing solely, and it's going to bring. And I would like to believe, given the partnerships that KRI have, like SGC see $500 billion a year in revenue, that the amount of capital they end up bringing into through Agent Flow would significantly outdo what Binance and Coinbase and them lot do. The reason why they don't want these linear chains to touch them, they might have explained here. I haven't read up on it too much, in all honesty. I need to read on it again, but I still think EasyFlow could be a significantly big institutional arm for Kaspa, bringing more liquidity. That brings more demand. That increases the price. You know, it's cause and effect, right? Cause and effect. So that's going to be huge. We also a little bit of an update here, where it looks like Michael Sutton and Kodo stuff are saying that we got some very cool updates and progression from Dagnite. And they're saying we should share something very, very soon. That came out 2 days ago. So quite the progress is a big understatement. So we might be hearing some Dagnite updates soon enough, which all we have seen so far is this little, you know, UI thing here, as well as that paper from Coder stuff quite a while back now. If I go and scroll down to find it. Was that far? Yeah, here it is. The first, like, this is the first major leak we have regarding Dagnite. So we hear more Dagnite, that'd be huge as well. Like this all, for all intents and purposes, this year, while short term looks a bit bleak, don't want to put a damper on the mood, but I'm trying to act as a, I don't want to sell FOMO. You know, I'll give you your FOMO whatever you want, but I want to sell research. You know, I want to sell, you know, evidence, all this sort of stuff that will help provide some form of clarity. Of course, I'm not a financial advisor, it's purely educational content, but I want to give a level of realism to what's happening in the markets right now. We'll probably see some short-term pullbacks, but foundation being laid for the crypto market, for the financial markets, and for Kaspa, mid to long term, it looks so strong right now. Especially when you've got big accounts like Lucky and more maximalists who are preaching about Kaspa being a, you know, seeing a massive pump soon, which of course, speculative, we'll have to wait and see, but it's great stuff. Maybe we can get Lucky on the blockchain banter show. That'd be something. Hear a story about Bitcoin and why his conviction in Kaspa suddenly sprung up out of nowhere. But if you remember yesterday, actually, which I think Wolfie actually did make a, not Wolfie, I'm so tired, I apologize, family. I'm saying all the wrong names right now. Crypto Pumps. He made a short video, I think, on his YouTube channel, so go check that out. We made a video covering the latter half of the blockchain banter stream yesterday, where we had a Bitcoin maxi who came in. He has like 280,000 subs on YouTube as well, by the way, from what I remember. Bitcoin maxi came in. I was just speaking, saying I'm been big on Bitcoin for a long time, but Kaspa sounds interesting. And Wolfie just sent him Kaspa, and the speed in which, of course, Kaspa was sent was so quick that he was like, oh damn, that was actually really, really quick. Like, he was shocked. So that's another instance where you've seen. I mean, you can even probably see it here.
Your purchasing.
Let me just quickly drag it. No? Where is it? Yeah, so it's here. So he's like, this guy here, you see, he's like, I told my audience that received Kaspa. As you can see that. That was his Kaspa address. And Wolfie sent it to him, went through in a second, instantly, and he received it. And yeah. Insane stuff. That was really, really cool. But yeah, that was thanks for the info. As always, Jay, I appreciate very much Wyatt. Agree, just my thoughts on why others think differently to us. People are going to think differently. They're going to think differently. Of course they are. You know, the way it works out is we are definitely in a bit of a niche, in a bit of a bubble of Kaspa. No doubt about that. And everyone right now is on the perception of we're going to be the next big chain. There's no guarantee of all of that right now. Just when it comes to the risk to reward and everything, I think Kaspa's the strongest one out there. It's come back so significantly in value. It's fair launch, it's decentralized. And then you've got enterprise arms, institutional arms like KRI that are doing exactly what these firms, these projects have been doing, these crypto companies have been doing for a long time. And it's not like DRI or KRI are new. Well, they are, but they're not, because DRI, which is the kind of actual thing that KRI kind of branched off on top of that, they've been looking for crypto solutions for 10 years. They tried Bitcoin, they tried Ethereum, they were terrible. And they don't like the centralized solutions that you have like XRP and X11, that stuff. That's why you've got Kaspa now being utilized. So we'll see that hopefully manifest into some demand and price rallies as the months and years go on. And then we'll be thankful we got in this early. Kaspa, I think, will do very well. And of course, there are many other assets as well that I look into, that I speak about the VIPs. I've got all the playbooks all the assets, the raw assets, the AI assets that I've been looking into based on my institutional analysis. In the VIP, we spoke about stuff like Ondu, Quant, AVAX, AI assets like Total, Render, Virtuals, and many others. If you want to find out more, links are down below in the description. Check out the VIP 7-day free trial, access to all the trade alerts, the private live streams do every single week, the playbooks, the Google Docs, and you know, all the macro analysis we put in there daily and everything else as well. And also one-to-ones if you need it as well. All that stuff is readily available. Links are down below, and you can find out more information in the free Discord server as well. But with that being said, family, it's 11 o'clock where I'm at right now. I've been up since 5 a.m. I am shattered. And I think that does conclude today's Kaspa and crypto live stream and its content. So, short recap, we'll see what tomorrow's market structure bill has in store for us. And then we'll see what happens over the weekend or end of the week if we do get government shutdown or not. If we do, could see some short-term pullbacks. If we avoid it, that'd be great and we see a bit of a pump probably. Time will tell, we'll see what comes of it. And we'll talk about when it happens. But that being said, family, thank you all for tuning in once more. I love you all. If you enjoyed the stream, leave a like, share with your friends, and subscribe for more. Want to learn more? Check out the free community. Links down below, the Discord server and the VIP and the Twitter account and all the socials. You know the deal. Have a great day, good evening, and good night. Tomorrow